You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. We've got a lot to cover on the program, and they just can't leave Donald Trump alone. They just can't leave this guy alone. You know, he just beat Soros's hired prosecutor, Bragg, in New York on that, right? And remember the grand jury? Oh, the grand jury is meeting on Monday, and it's a final day. Here we are the next day. What became of that? Nothing. They're just trying to keep the illusion that there's something going on. That's faded away. Now there's a new story today. A judge has ruled that Pence must testify before a grand jury. I'm sure they got to take Pence dragging and screaming to testify against Trump, this snake. This is an Associated Press story. A federal judge has ruled that Mike Pence will have to testify before a grand jury in the Justice Department investigation into efforts by Donald Trump. You know, and it's a January 6th case. You know, listen, I got news for you. Donald Trump, other than minor traffic violations when he was driving himself around Palm Beach, has never broken the law. He talked about this in this rally, this spectacular rally in Waco over the weekend, Waco, Texas. He was talking about a friend of his that said he must be the most innocent person that's ever lived. I mean, this guy's been through so many investigations by so many different investigators and law enforcement and prosecutors from different states and different cities and the federal government, and they haven't been able to find anything on him. And what they're doing with Donald Trump, I think at this point, they know that they're not going to get him on anything because he's done no wrong. What they're trying to do is keep this impression going in their minds that he is a criminal who's under Someone called me the other day, Mike in Louisiana, and when Trump was cleared in the New York Bragg Soros grand jury, and he said he's the Teflon Don. And I said, don't call him that. I said, that's something that the media are trying to call him. That's what they used to call John Gotti. John Gotti was a murderer and a hardcore criminal, and they couldn't get the guy, and that's why they called him the Teflon Don. Nothing would stick to him. He was guilty.
Yeah, it makes it imply that he's guilty. It makes it getting away with it.
That's what I told Mike from Louisiana. I said that implies that Donald Trump is guilty. He's guilty. The only thing he's guilty of.
He's the innocent Don.
Yeah. The only thing Donald Trump is guilty of is working very hard to make America great again. Yeah. And I know that the left think that's some type of crime, but it's not. But, you know, at this point, they really blew it with Bragg in New York. This thing with Bragg in New York, I think woke up a lot of people that didn't even like Trump to say, you know, we were talking about this last week, that, you know what? They really are out to get this innocent man. He really has done no wrong. And Mike Pence is maybe the only person I've ever done this with. If he's not the only one, he's one of a small handful, because I can't think of another. And I don't do this lightly. And I don't even like doing this now. But it's on my mind, so I'm going to share this. And I'm sure I've shared it before, but I want to share it again. I question whether or not Mike Pence is an actual Christian, okay?
I know he's not.
He seems so sleazy.
He wears it he uses it to manipulate people and to con people. He's definitely not
he's kind of like to me, he's kind of like a Joel Osteen. He's in it for the prestige and the profit and the money.
Yeah.
You know, Mike Pence.
He even kind of talks like him a little bit.
I'll tell you one thing I've noticed with Mike Pence. We were in Hobby Lobby a couple days ago buying some stuff. Kathy was buying some stuff. And you know what, Hobby Lobby, they have books, you know, Christian books they sell. And they had Mike Pence book. And he was sitting in front of his mansion. You know, I'm not saying that Christians can't be wealthy. But seeing this guy who won't be alone with a woman and he's holier than thou in front of a mansion, and he's sitting on the steps of his mansion. And I've noticed this with Pence a lot. I saw it in this. The reason I bring this up, because you guys can just go on Amazon and pull up the book and see what I'm talking about. He has that smirk on his face that people have that just rub me the wrong way.
He's a phony.
Yeah, he's a phony baloney. And I do question whether or not he's a Christian. I really do.
And I'm convinced that he was the leak in the White House. And somebody recommended him to Trump, and he was really a spy the whole time. He was really spying on Trump. That's right. And he's the worst kind because he would go on TV and defend him, and then behind closed doors, he was stabbing him in the back. I mean, he's the worst kind of person because that's just pure scummy. I'm sorry. That's just awful. But you're right. They're not going to leave Trump alone. But, none of these things are, it's not that they're not sticking. It's that none of it's true. He isn't guilty of anything. So when you imply, like you said, that it's just not sticking, it means that it's that he did it, but he's getting away with it.
Yeah, so don't call him Teflon Don. Don't let the media trick you into calling Trump
because that's how they
Don.
Convince themselves that, I don't know how they rationalize that he's getting away with this, but they convince themselves that that's exactly what's happening. But it's not. They can't even actually fathom that, gee, maybe the guy's actually innocent of this.
Yeah, and okay, so moving on just a bit. Yesterday we had a story that there's really been very little updates on other than the person recently got out of jail. A staffer of Rand Paul's was stabbed yesterday. And here we are more than a day later. I haven't seen it on television. I'm not saying it hasn't been on television. I don't sit in front of the news on TV, but I don't see it being highlighted anywhere, the stabbing of the Rand Paul staffer. And this is a very significant story. And I know people that do post on social media about it or trying to act like it's just random violent attack in D.C. There were 2 attempts on Rand Paul's life, okay? The guy that attacked him while he was mowing the lawn, his neighbor, remember that Democrat? He physically attacked Rand Paul, beat him so badly his lungs collapsed. He almost died. And then in Trump's first term, Rand Paul left the White House. Remember they had I think it was the nominating convention.
Yeah,
remember they did it at the White House, and he led with his wife
Kelly,
and Antifa attacked him, and they were trying to get him. So he is the only member of the United States Senate who's had 2 attempts on his life, one in his front yard, and one of his staffers gets stabbed, and it's not even a blip in the news. I'm sorry, that's a cover up, and the person that did it was arrested. And maybe it is random, but the media don't want anything to do with it. And it fits into this story of the trans Nashville shooter. And I'll tell you what I mean by this. When Rand Paul was attacked and now his person being stabbed, the reason the media don't cover this story is twofold. One, it probably was a Democrat that stabbed the staffer. I mean, who goes out and stabs people? Liberals, conservatives. There are conservative criminals. They're white collar. Violent criminals are Democrats, okay? So they don't want to promote a negative story about a Democrat, right? Like the guy that almost killed Rand Paul in his front yard got a slap on the wrist. He should have been doing years in prison. He almost murdered a sitting United States senator.
What about the guy that Scalise that shot the baseball game?
You never hear about that guy. No, they covered. You don't even know his name.
I mean, what about them? But you hear about the J6 every day of your life.
Exactly. And the other reason that they downplay the story of the guy that stabbed the Rand Paul staffer is, well, there's one. What Kathy said, only MAGA's violent, right? Of course, they want to keep that narrative going with the January 6th. But also, when conservatives get attacked or stabbed, liberals think that they deserved it. Well, they're Republican. They're anti-this. They're anti-that. They deserve it.
That fits in with the narrative they're now pushing with this shooter.
The Nashville shooter.
That happened yesterday, this transgendered person. And they're trying to push. Now, if you look at the Daily Mail, all these articles and all these groups are painting her as a victim, that she is a victim because her parents didn't accept her. And a lot of parents don't accept their kids for their lifestyle. If you got a kid that's a drug addict, you're not going to accept it. They don't go off and shoot up children.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, she lived with her parents, 28 years old, in a $700,000 home. So they had money.
Really?
Yes. And they wouldn't let her wear, this is according to the Daily Mail. She was mad because they wouldn't accept her life. And as long as she lived in the home, they would not let her wear men's clothes. Well, it's their house. And it's their rules. If she wants to live her life the way she wants, she can get her own apartment. She's 28. Well, not anymore, I guess. But what's interesting to me is they wouldn't let her wear men's clothes, but she stockpiled an arsenal of weapons. Did they know this?
In the house.
I think they just wrote her off and didn't even pay attention to her anymore. How did she stockpile all these guns in her home? I'm not saying the people don't have the right to do that, but clearly she was off her rocker. How come the parents didn't know this, or did they know? I mean, if I have a kid who has anger issues and they're stockpiling assault rifles, I would definitely have an issue with this, and I would remove the guns from the house. I would be like, something's coming, something's going to happen. The parents are not engaged enough. I'm not blaming her parents. It is her fault this happened. But whenever you see these shooters, 9 times out of 10, they have a lot of problems. They have a lot of anger issues, and the parents are not engaged. They've written them off. This is a person who was angry at the world, and she felt pain, and she wanted everybody to feel the same pain she feels. That's all it's about. She is upset. She was pissed. She was in pain for whatever reason. They wouldn't accept her. She hated Christians like Jane Fonda, and she wanted to make everybody else share in her suffering.
And
it's her fault. I'm sorry.
I think it was the New York Times, one of the liberal papers. I think it was the New York Times apologized for using the wrong pronouns.
This is not going to be good for the trans community to rally behind this girl. That's a mistake, and they're rallying behind her already, and they're trying to make her like a victim. And this is what they're going to do. If you got a straight white male shooter, they're going to try 10 ways from Sunday to make him affiliated with Donald Trump, and he's an evil person, and we're all and MAGA is evil. But this person is a victim. Christians are bad, and now that you have trans people saying that Christian schools should be abolished and all this stuff, this is insane. The problem is these young people, and she's not that young, but 28, have severe anger issues. They're left home alone all the time. They don't know how to channel their anger. I don't know why they're angry in the first place. Probably because society tells them they should be angry. She was living in a home she was not paying for, and she didn't like following her parents' rules. So what does she do? She stockpiles guns and goes and kills 9-year-olds. I mean, who does that? That's not normal. She is no way, shape, or form a victim of any kind.
Well,
for the trans community to paint her that way, I'm telling you, that's a big mistake on their part.
The Nashville trans shooter, I'm unclear on when they bought the guns. You don't know that? I'm not sure when they bought the guns, but I'm telling you this, okay? You guys know we're gun owners. Our daughter, she doesn't live with us now. She moved out a couple months ago, right? But our daughter living with us, if she was going out buying guns
like that, I'd be very concerned.
We're pro-gun people. We own guns, right? We support the Second Amendment. But I don't think I would let my adult child who wasn't responsible enough to have enough money to make rent somewhere go out and buy multiple expensive guns and have in the house. I wouldn't do that. And I'll tell you another thing I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
Parents know everything, okay? I know kids don't think that parents know everything, especially when they're living with you, okay? If your kid is going through mental health crises and they're into this cross-dressing thing and everything because of that, and they go out and start stockpiling guns and buying ammunition, you as a parent would get involved, I would, and say, hey, these guns you can't have the guns in the house.
Most people buy guns to protect their home, okay? She wasn't protecting her home. She doesn't even have a home. She doesn't even have children. We have guns in our house to protect us and our house, and that's why most people do it. And you're right. If the parents see this going on, and I'm really curious to know if they knew this was happening. I'm assuming not, but she got money from somewhere. Did she have a job? But they should be aware of what's going on. And I think, like I said, it's possible they were not engaged at all in her life anymore, and they were basically letting her live in the house. It's a $700,000 home. It's a big home. And they weren't even paying attention. They might not even have gone in her room and seen what was happening. They might have just said, do what you want, leave her, we don't care. But if you have somebody in your home stockpiling guns like that, and like you said, and they're not responsible, and they clearly have anger issues, those are red flags to me. And I'm not blaming her parents, but I think they should have taken her to a doctor, and they maybe should have removed the guns. It's their home. And she was storing them in their home. They should have taken those guns and removed them from the property.
You know, this terrible shooting happened on Monday. Today's Tuesday. By Thursday, it's going to be out of the news because the killer of 9-year-old babies, one of them, you were telling me, Kathy, one of these 9-year-old babies that was murdered by this monster was trying to pull the fire alarm to get help, and they shot that baby, that 9-year-old's baby. To me, because the person's trans. By Thursday, the story will be out of the news, and there is a tone of sympathy in the news. These were Christians. It's a church.
It's the parents' fault.
And they're so judgy on trans people. Right. I'm sorry. There's no excuse for any of that crap. In America today, whatever your lifestyle is, if you're gay, if you're trans, if you're a swinger, no matter what you're into, if it's legal, there's a community that accepts you where you can move.
Your parents don't have to accept your choices. It's not in the parent code. If you choose to go out and walk the streets, or you, like I said, choose to shoot up heroin, your parents are definitely not going to be happy with that. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't get mad because they don't accept it.
If you want to shoot up heroin and stuff, move to Portland. It's accepted there.
Exactly.
When I lived at home, I had rules, and
our daughter did too when she lived here.
I moved out of the house when I was 18, and I came back once or twice when I was between things. Like my lease would be up, and I didn't have a place lined up, and I'd come home for a month or two, and it was difficult. I moved back home; there were rules again. And our daughter, when she lived with us, we're pretty lax, but we had rules as well, and we were up to speed on everything she was doing. So, but having parents that don't accept you as trans is I'm sorry, that's not an excuse to murder people.
But society is telling these young kids that if people don't accept them, they're bigots and they're horrible people, and they're making them angry. Yep. They're making them believe that if people don't accept you, the problem is with them, not you. Yep. Okay? They're the bad person.
Now listen, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Attention all gaming enthusiasts. Have you heard of the Caseboy gaming phone case? It's the ultimate accessory for any gamer on the go. The Caseboy is a Game Boy iPhone case with a built-in video game system, allowing you to play all your favorite retro games right on the back of your phone. Crafted with precision and attention to detail, this case is designed to perfectly fit your iPhone, providing full access to all buttons, ports, and functions. With a high-resolution screen, responsive buttons, and an extensive library of classic games, this Game Boy iPhone case is the perfect choice for any gaming fan. Plus, right now, there's a 50% off sale, but hurry because the sale ends at the end of spring. Don't miss out on this opportunity to experience the nostalgia of classic gaming. Order your Caseboy gaming phone case today at shopcaseboys.com. That's shopcaseboys.com. Are you struggling to connect with your teen? Are you worried about the troubles your teen is facing in today's world? Don't miss out on the ultimate guide to faith-led parenting with the book from Script Seeds, Parenting Teens Through Faith, available on Amazon. Parenting Teens Through Faith is your essential handbook to raising confident, resilient, and empowered teenagers. This book provides practical advice for providing a strong, faith-based foundation for building character, virtues, and resilience in your teen. You'll also discover essential biblical principles for providing hope and confidence, no matter your faith background. Start building a stronger, more resilient family with Parenting Teens Through Faith, available in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions on Amazon. This book is perfect for church groups. Order your copy right now. Are you a truck or car enthusiast looking to upgrade your ride? Look no further than GroundZeroCustoms.com. GroundZeroCustoms.com is an online store specializing in aftermarket performance and appearance upgrades. They have a vast inventory of high-quality parts and accessories, and they have everything you need to take your vehicle to the next level. GroundZeroCustoms.com offer the best brands in the business, including Baja Designs, Mickey Thompson Tires, 4Play, and that's just the beginning. Whether you're looking for lighting upgrades or suspension modifications, they have you covered. Plus, GroundZeroCustoms.com understand that each vehicle is unique, which is why they offer a wide range of specialized parts and accessories. Upgrade your ride and make it truly your own. Go to GroundZeroCustoms.com and discover the possibilities. You will find an unbeatable selection and everything you need to take your vehicle to the next level. Start shopping right now at GroundZeroCustoms.com. Are you looking for unique and beautiful crafts, gifts, and home decor that will bring happiness to your life? Look no further than veteran-owned Arctic Fox Market, an Etsy shop that's based in Texas and features handmade personalized gifts and home decor with the option for customization. Arctic Fox Market takes pride in their work and strive to create pieces that will bring a smile to your face every time you look at them. They welcome special requests and personalizations, so don't hesitate to message them with any questions or requests you may have. They offer bulk order discounts on select items. Arctic Fox Market is owned by a proud mother of 4 who started creating resin crafts as a hobby, and it's now become her passion. Each piece is unique, ensuring that there are no two exactly alike. Visit Arctic Fox Market right now at etsy.com/shop/Arctic Fox Market Resin. That's etsy.com/shop/Arctic Fox Market Resin. When you visit the shop, view the inventory. You will be impressed. Etsy.com/shop/Arctic Fox Market Resin.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. So Megyn Kelly today, she was talking about, the shooting and gun control and things. And I got a clip. And I put the bleep in here. She uses the F word.
Yeah.
And I put the bleep in. And I know this is the internet. You can have
I like her show.
You can have the F word, I just don't like to have it on the show, so I bleeped it out. But let me play this. This is Megyn Kelly. She's talking about everything, the tragedy of Nashville.
3 9-year-olds were shot down yesterday by one sick person, in addition to the 3 school administrators. There's something wrong with our society, and I, for one, am sick of the knee-jerk. It's the guns, get the guns. We have 330 million guns, maybe over 400 million by some counts in America. They're not going away. We could do an assault weapons ban tomorrow. They're not going away, all right? We have to take a serious, honest look at what's wrong with us. We can take a look at what's going on in the case of this particular woman, trans person, she's a biological woman, and figure out what made this person crack. But we go through this every time. We try to figure out the issues that led to this person to do it or that person to do it. And then we change nothing. Yep. Okay, we change nothing. And I realize it's a big country and it's a free country and you're never going to be able to stop them all. But that shouldn't lead to just the constant shoulder shrugs of like, well, and I, for one, think we really need to take a hard look at, yes, mental health and also institutionalization. Institutionalization. We need to make it easier to civilly commit people.
Okay. Yeah. And when I was a kid in Columbus, Ohio, Columbus is the capital of Ohio, so all the state stuff is there. Like my grandmother worked at the state boys prison, right? The state mental hospital was in downtown Columbus. And I remember when I was a kid, this is like in the 70s.
Yeah.
I was a little kid. But I used to love it when we drove by the mental hospital because they had all the people that were committed there and they were all hanging out the windows. They were all nuts. And what happened was, people drive by and you'd see all the lunatics in the asylum. They were all nuts. Geraldo Rivera has such a responsibility in all these things that happen because when he became famous, Geraldo Rivera, he did that story on the mental hospital in New York, Willowbrook. I think it was Willowbrook.
Yeah, I think so.
And there was such outrage at the conditions that the mentally ill were living through in mental hospitals that it led to them doing away with mental hospitals as we used to have them. Yeah. And a lot of the problems in this society, the shootings, the homelessness, and many others, the crime in general, is because of Geraldo's Willowbrook story. And I know he's on the 5 and all this stuff, and they don't bring this stuff up to him. But Megyn Kelly is the first. People mention generically mental health, and obviously, when people murder, they're mentally ill. And I'm not going to go through the story again. I've told it many times, but I had an encounter with the Parkland shooter, Nicholas Cruz, long before the shooting at the Wawa gas station. Guy was insane, scared the crap out of me. And this was long before the shooting, right? Everybody knew he was nuts. because of Geraldo's reporting, not only did they empty out the mental institutions, people don't get institutionalized like they used to. They get brief holds and then they're under outpatient care. And people always talk about mental health after these issues in a generic way. We have to talk about mental. All liberals do is talk. They don't do. And Megyn Kelly is the first national person that I've heard say, you know what? We got to talk about institutionalizing people. And I know that sounds crude and it sounds rude and it's not a pleasant thing. I get that, but that's today I was up in Palm Beach, not far from Mar-a-Lago. And there was a homeless woman walking in the street against traffic. She was out of her mind. She should be in a mental hospital. They don't do that anymore.
No, they live in tents.
That's right.
On the road.
So thanks, Geraldo. But all these things that are happening are because of that. And we need to start institutionalizing people and bring back the lunatic asylums.
I think a bigger problem is the societal thing that people have to accept you. And they raise these children with this expectation of acceptance. You know, everybody gets a trophy. And these young people do not know how to handle adversity at all.
That's for sure.
When you are raised in a way where everybody coddles you and they don't challenge you, and then you do meet some adversity where, say, somebody doesn't let you wear men's clothes, you don't know how to respond to this because you have been raised in a world where everybody's supposed to accept everything you do, and if they don't, they're a horrible person. I wasn't raised that way. I can tell you that. I lived in a very critical home. Okay, I was criticized all the time. That's just the way my parents were.
And that's just today.
Nothing I did was right. Okay, but I'm okay. That's, I grew up in a very sarcastic home, and everybody picked on each other. That's just the way it was. I'm not saying it was perfect, but it made me tougher in the sense that I don't completely fall apart. If somebody doesn't like something I do, I'll be like, whatever. You're used to it. You learn how to deal with it. You learn how to cope with those kinds of things. When you coddle your children, and I'm not just saying the parents did that. Obviously, they had some rules with her, which are good. But because of society, she couldn't handle the rules. And it's not a hard rule, but society taught her that her parents are Christian bigots and that they need to be punished because they won't let you be who you are. Well, she could have moved out of the damn house and lived a life and done whatever the hell she wanted. Right. But like I said, she was in a lot of pain, a lot of anger, and she wanted others to feel her pain and her anger, and she wanted to punish her parents. She's punishing them by humiliating them in their little area and globally. Everybody knows who her parents are now, and they know that this is why she did this. It's their fault, and she's punishing them. Yeah. That's why she did this. Very selfish person.
This Nashville massacre done by this trans mass shooter, it's not going to be the end of this trans fad, but it's the beginning of the end. This is a moment and these people in the media that are so sympathetic. So it's the beginning of the end of this whole trans fad. However, they're about to do something because it's already started today.
Yeah, I think it's a mistake.
There's sympathy towards the murderer. There's no sympathy towards this monster.
No.
I've never seen this sympathy towards a mass shooter since 9/11, and the liberals have this knee-jerk thing, and a lot of you don't remember because 9/11 was 22 years ago. But after 9/11, and this was really outrageous. So after 9/11, what they did is, sorry guys, I had to pause the podcast like three times.
My phone keeps ringing, sorry.
Kathy's car's in the shop, and they keep calling us. So we had to stop. So I've lost my train of thought. I had to pause it for like 2 minutes, like 3 times in a row.
About that.
So I might be repeating myself a couple times. It's only been 20, 30 seconds for you, but it's been like 10 minutes for us, and hopefully they won't call back. But anyway, after 9/11, liberals were saying, and this was Fredo's brother, Mario Cuomo, who was the governor, Bill Clinton, and there were others, okay? They were saying, well, we have to look at what we have done that would drive these terrorists to do what they did. They were talking about 9/11, the 9/11 hijackers, and some of them said, well, poverty in the Middle East drove them to do this. These were wealthy people. Yeah. These were not impoverished.
And they've blamed other things on climate change.
Well, they sympathize with victims, is what I'm saying.
That's exactly right.
They sympathize. They try to make victims out of killers and mass murderers.
Because they have a victim mentality themselves.
But with the 9/11 hijackers, they were trying to make victims of the murderers of 9/11, the hijackers. That lasted about 3 days, and the blowback was so massive, it's disappeared. Well, the trans thing, the trans sympathy, they took another step today. The Daily Wire, that's Michael Knowles, who else? Candace
he'll
Owens.
Jump on this. He's obsessed with the
and Ben Shapiro. Michael Knowles is obsessed with transgender stuff. That's all he talks about.
Yeah.
Almost. I got a clip of him that's not about trans people I'm going to play in a moment. And the Daily Wire, they're very conservative. They're always doing stuff on trans.
Yeah, they got a new special coming out about that jazz trans activist.
Okay.
Jazz.
Yeah, gosh, I won't watch it. But anyway, they're based in Nashville.
Yeah.
So there's some in the press, some in the left are now starting to blame the Daily Wire. Well, they didn't shoot up the Daily Wire. They shot up a school with little babies in it.
Exactly.
So, but let them expose themselves.
Why liberals don't ever blame the perpetrator. It's not just these shooters. Look at these DAs that are letting all these criminals out.
Exactly.
They never blame the perpetrator. They're soft on crime. This is not a new thing. And I think you're right. They sympathize and they feel like a connection with these people because they feel they're outcasts in society. And that's how they feel. They are. And they try to excuse it. Sometimes a banana is just a banana. This is just a psycho person who's sick, who had a vendetta and wanted to take out people. I don't know why a school and little children. That I don't understand. Why did she choose? Maybe because it's a soft target. It's the school she went to. Obviously, she has issues with Christians.
That's right.
And I think personally, she wanted to punish her parents, and this is the church they go to. And that's why
the parents go to that church?
Well, I'm assuming that's where she went to school. So I'm assuming that's their church.
Yeah.
They have a connection to this church, and maybe in the past or now. But to me, this was about punishing her family. They said she did want to kill some of her family members. So they're lucky that they didn't get shot too. I mean, I don't know why they let her stockpile all these guns in the house, this person who's clearly unstable.
Yeah, so I got this clip of Michael Knowles, and it's a rare occasion for Michael Knowles. He's not talking about transgendered people.
That is rare.
Yeah, and he said something that I'm going to explain what he meant, but he said it in a very clumsy way that could get him in a lot of trouble, okay? And I know a lot of people listen and say, well, it's America. You can say what you want. You can say what you want, but there sometimes can be consequences.
Doesn't mean you should say what you want.
But let me play you what Michael Knowles said. It's about the race issue in this country, and
oh boy,
the way that he said it is going to get him in trouble if he continues this. He made this comment, and now they're blaming the Daily Wire for trans stuff. So people might have missed this because they're obsessing over trans stuff over there now. But here's Michael Knowles. This is earlier this week.
And white people generally are the least racist people on earth. I mean that in a very technical way. There have been studies of racial consciousness. White people have the lowest racial consciousness by a country mile. Every other race of people has a much higher racial consciousness, a much higher in-group preference. White people just are not racist. You can say whatever you want about white people. You can say they have bad taste in music, their food isn't spicy enough, but you can't say they're racist. White people are the least racist people in the world. And in the United States, the white people are pretty much the only victims of formal de jure systemic racism. Asians get lumped in a little bit too, but white people, and Asians to some degree, are the only group where you can say, okay, you're white, we're going to discriminate against you for the purposes of college admissions, for the purposes of hiring, for the purposes of whatever, on the basis of your race. So the racism charge generally falls flat. The racism charge against Trump definitely falls flat, and they don't have any other charge. So what are they going to do? What are they going to say? Are they even going to indict him anymore?
Okay. So this thing about, now what he's talking about systemic racism, I will agree with him. There is systemic racism against white people. White people in today's society, to make up for things that happened before any of us were ever born, are put at the bottom of the resume line. I was talking about this on the radio this morning. You see these chiefs of police interviewed all the time when there's a tragedy. I can't remember the last time I saw a police chief that wasn't black. It's like there's all the police chiefs are black men and black women. So in government jobs, it's very difficult for white people to move up through the ladder because there's affirmative action and things applied there. But what he was talking about in the beginning that people are taking issue with when he said white people are the least racist. Let me tell you what he was talking about, okay? He was talking about two things, but he went off on these other tangents and didn't focus in on it. He hinted to it a little bit, but you have to listen closely to hear it. He was talking about as a group, white people, and this is true because we're white people and we have a multiracial home, our daughter being black, we have a multiracial home, but multiracial family. But white people don't sit around and think about being white. Like, for example, when O.J. Simpson was on trial for murder, the jurors took a tour of his house during the trial, and Johnny Cochran, his leader of his dream team, went to his mansion before the jury went there and put up like a lot of African-themed art around the house and things to make him seem more ethnic. White people don't generally do that, and I know people may say, well, American culture is a white culture, a European culture, and that may be true. The country was established by Europeans, but white people don't think about race too much.
Well, that's what he was saying, and I agree with that. We're not as race conscious, and I've discussed this with our daughter, and she'll say things, well, you don't have to be. And I'm like, well, maybe, I don't know, but I think people should, instead of calling everybody, all white people, bigots, maybe try to understand that, maybe we don't have to be, but I can't help that I was born white. I can't help the family I grew up in and the way I was raised and all this.
That's correct.
But it's not an issue. It really isn't. I mean, I just really never thought about it growing up. And I don't know. And I think I don't know why he'd be so much trouble for what he said, because I think what he said makes a lot of sense.
Because he's saying white people are not racist, and he said they're the least racist. In the sense that
they're not in this, and I agree, well, they're not discriminating. Maybe they were in the 50s and 60s, but now the minorities are doing the discriminating, or the white liberals are the ones. So
that's true.
I'll disagree with him on this. White liberals are racist.
That's for sure.
Against their own race.
That's for sure.
That's what's going on, Michael, okay? They are bigots, and they have an urge to help minorities because it makes them feel empowered to help minorities at the expense of white people. So they are obsessed with race, the white liberals.
We had an interesting conversation.
So he needs to make that distinction.
With our daughter last night on the phone from California.
Yeah.
And there's the Little Mermaid cartoon has a live-action movie coming out, and the Little Mermaid's black. And Brett Cooper, who's with the Daily Wire, had a video the other day just very upset about this and all of this. And there's also a new Peter Pan, and Tinkerbell's black. Yeah. And our daughter told us, because we were talking about this last night, and she said, she said Disney, because Disney's all woke and liberal. Yeah. She says the only characters they're making black that were previously white are non-human characters.
Right.
Tinkerbell is what is Tinker?
Like a fairy.
Like a fairy. She's not like a
Ariel's
human.
a mermaid.
And and both of them, by the way, are fictional beings.
Right.
And she said, as liberal and as woke as and our black daughter. I thought this was a good. I think.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
I think because she's black, she saw this from a perspective we didn't see.
She does.
And she said they're not making Cinderella or Snow White or Pinocchio or Geppetto or any of these. It's only non-human characters like a mermaid and a fairy that they make black. And that's so typical of white liberals. They think they're so enlightened, but they will not make any of the iconic human characters black in their live-action movies, only fictional creatures like mermaids and fairies. I thought that was a pretty good point she made.
Now, The Little Mermaid was our daughter's favorite Disney movie when she was little.
Oh, my goodness.
She watched it every day for like a year.
20,000 times.
4 years old, okay? She had it memorized. She sang the songs. When she met Ariel at Disney, it was the biggest deal of her life, okay? She loves Ariel, or when she was a little girl. But she did say to us last night, she said, if Ariel was black, she said it would have meant a lot to me because she would have looked like me. I just don't think in those terms, but I guess Emily does. And I try to respect her perspective. And I think, when Michael Knowles was saying is that white people in general, unless you're a white liberal, don't necessarily think in those terms of Like, if I go see a movie and the character's black, I don't sit there and think, gee, I can't relate to her because she's not white. I just don't think that way. But maybe some people that are minority, our daughter, I don't think she worries about it or obsesses about it. It's not something she thinks about a lot. But she did say, if Ariel was black, she said it would have been kind of a big deal to me because I'm black, and I would have been like, oh, she's like me. And I said, okay, that's good to know. But the issue I have with Disney, I don't care that they have black characters. I mean, Tiana is my favorite princess. It's one of my favorite movies. But why do they have to rewrite these established characters? Tinkerbell has been around for 50 years, and turn them a different race. I don't understand. Why can't they make a new movie with new characters?
It's called virtue signaling.
Well, exactly. It's the motivation behind it, the rewriting, and basically saying, we're not going to let Tinkerbell be white anymore. She's going to be black now. And they're doing it gratuitously, and they're doing it to demean white people, I feel. And
that's not to demean white people. I think it's so they can say, look, we're not racist.
Right. Okay. Maybe you're right about that. But why can't they just write a new movie with black characters and an original story? Why do they have to rewrite things and change? I don't get that necessarily.
If I were interviewing the Disney executives over this, I would ask what our daughter brought up. Why are the only characters you're making black in live action non-human characters? Fictional beings like mermaids and
why didn't they make Wendy? Well, why didn't they make Wendy black?
In Peter Pan, or Peter Pan.
I mean, there are black people in England,
or Captain Hook. I don't know anyone. Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much, guys. And if you would like to become a patron of the program, there's a link to our Patreon page on my website, briancraigshow.com. There's a direct link also in the description of the episode on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And, Patreon supporters, you get access to commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes. And on occasion, Kathy and I do podcast episodes that are available only to Patreon supporters. We did one the other day. And on our Patreon podcast, we talk about a lot of things that we never talk about on the regular podcast. Okay? So you get not just exclusive podcast, but exclusive subject matter. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. The names you'll hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, and Arctic Fox. You can also go directly to our Patreon website, patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. Patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. We'll be right back.
In the heart of the wilderness, one young man is about to embark on a journey of self-discovery. From D. Gee Productions comes The Watcher on the Mountain, a captivating 112-page book available now on Amazon. Follow the story of a young man raised deep in the forest of America, struggling to find his place in the world after a tragic discovery. When his mysterious father is suddenly ripped away from him, he must confront his own mortality and face the haunting secrets of his father's past. Will the young man find his purpose and meaning in life, or will his journey end in tragedy? Don't miss this tale of self-discovery and mystery. Order your copy of The Watcher on the Mountain from D. Gee Productions on Amazon right now and start your journey. Are you tired of feeling too exhausted to exercise or complete your daily routine? Let Dr. R. Ahmed's book, Workout Supplements for Men and Women, available on Amazon, be your solution. In this must-read and life-changing book, the author shares his personal experience of struggling with energy issues and how he overcame them with the help of workout supplements. You will learn about widely used supplements like protein shakes, BCAAs, creatine, nitric oxide, and many more, and discover how they can help you be more energetic and more active. Dr. Ahmed's personal success story proves that supplements, along with a healthy diet, active recovery, rest, and a workout plan, can transform your life. Join Dr. R. Ahmed on a journey to living a healthy and more active life. Order your copy of Workout Supplements for Men and Women on Amazon. Are you looking for high-quality digital products to enhance your daily life? Look no further than digitalcobyaya.etsy.com. That's Y-A-H-Y-A. Digital Co by Yaya specialize in a wide range of digital products that are perfect for any occasion, from stunning abstract art to practical planners and business card templates. They have everything you need to make your day-to-day life more beautiful and organized. Planning a special occasion? Digital Co by Yaya have you covered with a collection of birthday invitations that's sure to impress. With a variety of eye-catching designs to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect invite to make your celebration one to remember. Shopping at digitalcobyaya.etsy.com is easy and convenient. Simply browse their collection, add your favorite products to your cart, and check out. That's it. Plus, all of their digital products are available for instant download, so you can start enjoying them right away. Don't wait. Visit digitalcobyaya.etsy.com. It's Y-A-H-Y-A. Explore their collection of digital products and add a little beauty and organization to your everyday life. digitalcobyaya.etsy.com. Did you know that every year, 975 innocent people are being locked up? DeAndre Daniels is one of them. He was sentenced to 47 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. This could happen to your loved one, your son, brother, uncle, father, or husband. You can help by bringing awareness to this injustice and help DeAndre get a new and fair trial. Sign the petition at change.org under DeAndre D. Daniels. To learn more, visit asateamwematter.life. Don't let another innocent person suffer. Sign the petition and help bring justice for DeAndre and others like him. Find the petition at change.org under DeAndre D. Daniels.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. I do have one clip. I meant to play this in the last segment. It's Jean-Pierre. She was on MSNBC today talking about the Nashville killer and the massacre of those babies. And there were 3 adults, too. Listen.
I will say to Republicans in Congress is, what are you going to say to these parents? What are you going to say to these families? What I will say.
So what Jean-Pierre is doing there is blaming Republicans for the murder. You know, if society, every time a liberal commits a crime, it's society's fault. Yeah. If that's true, why are they? Is it not society's fault that the J6ers breached the Capitol?
Yeah.
Why are they personally responsible in being held in the D.C. gulag? But all these liberal criminals are victims of society.
I think it's definitely the shooter's fault. I think society contributes to these things. So when I talked about that earlier, I'm not excusing this shooter's behavior. They're definitely to blame.
Absolutely. She
planned this. It was calculated. She drew maps. She even planned her clothes. This was a well thought out attack.
That tells you, by the way, this was not a male, because a man would not pick out his clothes to look right. That's definitely a girly like trait of that monster.
But this was not like somebody who just snapped. This was somebody who planned this for a long time and ruminated on it and thought about it and dreamt about it and was excited about it. So it's the shooter's fault, no doubt.
I am a huge fan of Elon Musk, but he's not perfect. And there's a couple things he does from time to time, but that's okay. 80% of the time I'm with the guy. But there was a revelation found out about the new Twitter under Elon Musk that just broke today, and I'm a little disappointed in this, and I just share it with you. It's not the end of the world compared to what Twitter used to do. Elon Musk, one of the things about Elon Musk is he talks about everyone being equal. Yeah. And, the blue check mark is an example of that. He's doing away with the blue check marks that are given to people for being just famous. And I was denied by Twitter directly on more than one occasion a blue check mark because, I'm a conservative guy. I have one now because I did what a lot of people do. I paid for the Twitter blue. Right. And I did it it's kind of like the Twitter blue check mark. The reason I got it, it's kind of like a protest. It's kind of like a bizarre kind of protest, to these AOCs and everything.
You're obsessed with that blue check mark.
Well, because the people that have them think they're a better class of people, the AOC types. And Elon Musk, that's going away unless you pay the thing. And celebrities and things are really upset about it, including AOC has been vocal about it. And blue checkmark people have a lot of benefits I didn't realize. I did not realize that the blue checkmark people only saw, there's a setting to only see tweets from other blue checkmark people.
I didn't know that either.
So they're like their own elite class. I didn't know that exists. Now that I'm one,
club.
I'm part of the club. I bought my way in, but I'm part of the club for $7-8 a month. But Elon Musk, who talks so much about us all being equal, something came out today that shows that that's not the case. Listen to this. A new report has revealed that there are around 35 VIP Twitter users who get a boost on the platform. Documents obtained by Platformer, I don't know what that is, but they're cited in this article, claim people in politics, sports, Hollywood, and several journalists are receiving increased visibility on Twitter, and this is under Elon Musk's VIP list. The report states that when tweets from one of these 35 VIP users drop, engineers for Twitter tweak the code so that their tweet is always visible. AOC, Ben Shapiro, Joe Biden, LeBron James, a Bloomberg columnist I've never heard of, are among the elite 35. The move of tweaking the algorithm to boost tweets,
I'm sure they do that all the time.
Is going on. So, well, you know, what it does is, now,
do people pay for that too?
No, he's got this list of 35 special people.
Well, why?
And
why are they on the list?
They in this very long article that I'm not going to read through because it's very technical it's written for like computer people, but this article says that he's doing it for profitability because they're famous people and everything else.
Okay.
But
and I'm sure it fluctuates. I'm sure
I don't care for that. I don't like it at all. And it gives more credibility to Shapiro and AOC and these others on the VIP list. Like, people care more about their thoughts and opinions. It's being artificially boosted.
Well, most social media is artificial in lots of ways.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It's not totally organic at all.
To me, that's not what I thought Elon Musk was about. Now, I don't mind if Elon Musk does that for himself. It's his platform. And I've until I heard this, I've supported almost everything Elon Musk has stood for. Even the Tesla. I mean, I'm not for mandating them like Biden's trying to do. But if you want to buy a Tesla, go buy a Tesla. You know, I mean, it's not my kind of thing. You know, I don't like that the batteries catch on fire after there's a hurricane and stuff. So I'm not going to be getting one. But I like that he put us back in space, America back in space with our manned space program through SpaceX. And anytime I can, when there's a SpaceX launch, I get on the roof of our house and watch it. Where, being in Florida, we can see the rockets launch from our house. It's pretty cool. And sometimes I show them on YouTube. So if you follow me on YouTube, you'll see me climbing up on the roof doing that quite often. But anyway, this goes against everything Elon Musk is about when he bought Twitter and liberating Twitter. And I don't like the idea that there's this club of like AOC. I call her Veruca Salt. Veruca Salt from she's a stupid brat who is dumb as a box of rocks, and she thinks she's so smart. And here we find out she's on the take. She's a spokesman. She got on TikTok and did a TikTok, and she's against TikTok being banned. Then we find out that the Hispanic caucus got a big donation from the Chinese company behind it and all this stuff. So here she is like Biden on the take, and she's being elevated like she's somebody more important than, say, Marjorie Taylor Greene or Matt Gaetz. And Ben Shapiro, Ben Shapiro is not the greatest talk show host or podcaster in the world as he's portrayed.
Not even close.
And for him to be artificially inflated like this, I'm finding out I knew it was happening before, but happening by Elon Musk, I'm disappointed in Elon Musk to find out about the list. Oh, there's one thing I want to mention, just reminded me because of Ben Shapiro talks as fast as an auctioneer. The person listening that sent me this text message, I don't know who they are, but I'm sure they're listening. And I blocked their number, okay? Because
they wouldn't tell you who they were.
Yeah, somebody had been texting me the last month. They have my cell phone number. They're a listener of the program. and they text me things that are very rude sometimes. And they've been texting me lately that I have been talking too fast, like Ben Shapiro on the podcast, that I'm over caffeinated or something. I don't know what they're talking about. And then I finally texted them back. They sent me a YouTube. They sent me a YouTube video yesterday. They texted this to me. And they said, "This is you on your last podcast." And it was like a guy that was a popular guy in commercials that talked super fast in the 80s. And I don't usually do this, but I did it. I texted them back and I said, "You probably have the podcast platform you're listening to, you probably have it set to play at a faster speed. On podcast platforms, on podcast apps, you can listen to a podcast faster than it's actually uploaded. You can so you can get through podcasts faster." And I do this sometimes, but I usually pop it up to about maybe 175. On Ben Shapiro's, you got to slow it down. So I texted him back and I asked him 2 questions. I said, "Who is this?" Because you got my number. "Who is this?" And also I told them in the text, you probably have the podcast set to a higher speed on playback. They wrote me back, wouldn't tell me who they were, but told me, "Yeah, you're right. I had it set faster." They said, "Yeah, I had my podcast thing played at 2 or 175 or something speed, so it was faster." Mm-hmm. No apology. Wouldn't tell me that, so I blocked you.
Yeah,
because you wouldn't tell me who you are. I don't know who you are.
I think that's fair. I mean, you know, you don't want to get text messages from somebody attacking you. At least tell anonymously. At least have the guts to say who you are.
But anyway, the reason
it could be anybody.
The reason I bring that up is some of you may not be aware of that, and sometimes you do hit the speed to play faster than you want it to play. So just check that setting on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. I did have something from The View I was going to play, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I played a clip from The View yesterday.
About what?
I'm going to play it on the radio tomorrow.
Well, tell me.
Something.
Can you
No, I'll tell you after the show.
Okay.
But I'm going to save this clip for the radio because it's really disgusting. And I played the clip about the one woman on The View yesterday bragging about how she walks around naked in front of her children. They ask if there's milk in there and stuff. I mean, my goodness. And I didn't want to subject the...
Does her husband do that too?
Ask if there's milk in there? I don't know.
That's a sick thing to do.
That's a strange woman, I'll tell you. But I didn't want to subject the podcast audience to 2 days in a row of clips from The View on the podcast.
I wanted to talk about your clip of Ron DeSantis.
The climate change clip?
The climate change clip, and that's from 2018. And now we know why he was having trouble getting the nomination. Did
I play that on yesterday's show?
Yeah, you played that on yesterday's show.
Did I play that on the podcast?
No.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
Let me pull. I don't think I did.
No, I don't think you did.
And I played it on the radio this morning. Let me pull it up. I'll play it for you guys. It'll take me a minute.
This was on Twitter. It's been going around Twitter. And I thought he had said it, or maybe we did talk about it. I thought he had said it recently. Yeah, we did talk about it because I remember saying, "Oh, that just happened." No, it was from 2018, so I'm correcting myself. So you had said to me, now we know why he was doing so badly in the primaries, because he's a liberal or he's a big rhino.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. I don't know if he is saying that to kind of ingratiate himself to the left to get money or to get votes, or if he truly believes it, but it doesn't matter. I mean, talking about climate change as if it's real and how the seas are rising in Florida is a bunch of BS. I mean, I've lived in Florida longer than him. He's a Floridian like me.
Yeah.
The seas are not rising at all.
I'm going to play ridiculous. This. And I didn't, the reason I didn't play this on the podcast yesterday. I thought we
did yesterday.
I don't think I did. If we did, it was old. I know we were talking about, I don't know if we played it or not, but I do know, I don't think we did, but maybe we did. You know, guys, I do so many shows, you know.
It's true. They become a blur sometimes.
You know, I do a radio show. Yeah. I got YouTube. I do the podcast. Yeah. And plus I'm involved in conversations all the time.
Yeah. Plus we talk about stuff.
And so I get confused on when I had talked about this and that.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I know a lot of you may say, well, you know when you're talking into a microphone. I have more microphones than you guys don't I, Kathy?
I think you talk into a microphone more than not.
I have so many microphones in our house. In fact,
you do. You like collect microphones.
I was watching a guy on YouTube today, and I was like, "Oh, I like his mic. I think I might buy that microphone." And
I said, "You have too many already."
Yeah, I've got so there's microphones in every room, and I just forget. But I do not think we played the DeSantis thing on the podcast yesterday, but when I first heard it, I didn't think it was real. I thought that it was like an anti-DeSantis person who put a track of audio over DeSantis talking. And it took me a while to verify it because it just seems so out of character to him. And this is when DeSantis was running for governor the first time, okay, before he went like Johnny Fontaine and begged Trump for the endorsement.
Human activity and the changing climate, maybe it's not. I don't know. But what I do know is I see the sea rising. I see the increased flooding in South Florida.
Ron DeSantis says he wants $1 billion put toward efforts to brace the state of Florida for the impacts of climate change.
He's brought science back into the equation to some extent. He's hired a chief science officer for the state of Florida to talk about how to handle the effects of climate change.
We are now ready to award over $8.5 million in contracts to build 74 additional fast electric charging stations along Florida's major highways. The development of charging infrastructure is essential to increasing the number of electrical vehicles on our streets.
Okay.
Oh my, he sounds like Gavin Newsom.
Some of that was after he became governor, but that thing about this, he can see the seas rising.
That's
was
baloney.
When he was running for governor the first time. And this is what I think happened. President Trump has been telling this story about how DeSantis was crying and begging for his endorsement. And I was describing this morning. I was telling the listeners, it reminds me of when Johnny Fontaine in The Godfather goes to Marlon Brando and he's begging the Godfather to get him the part in From Here to Eternity. Yeah. And he's crying. He's like, Godfather. And he's, behave like a man. And he slaps Johnny Fontaine. Yeah. And I wish the Babylon Bee, I'm sorry to blow your ears out, guys. I wish
that blew my ear out.
I wish the Babylon Bee would do a parody of that because that would be so hilarious.
Do that scene and put Ron DeSantis' face on Johnny Fontaine
and Trump on Marlon Brando. It'd be awesome.
Well, they're both the Dons. So.
Like all those videos you see online where they take the Hitler from the Hitler movie and they change the dialogue all the time. They're kind of like that. But anyway, I think we now know why DeSantis was losing to the opponent in the primary. He wasn't conservative.
No.
And then he decided, well, if I want to win, I better be MAGA.
And Trump probably told him, don't ever bring up climate change again.
So he sounds like fake MAGA.
I'm sure. Do you think Trump is regretting? Remember when DeSantis said, you might have made a mistake? He was letting him know, maybe you shouldn't have helped me. You might regret it now. I think he might regret it.
Even in the Piers Morgan interview last week, he asked him, have you ever read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein?
Why did he ask him that?
And, because Dr. Frankenstein created Frankenstein's monster. So in that analogy, Piers Morgan is saying that Ron DeSantis is Frankenstein's monster and Trump is Dr. Frankenstein. And I'll tell you, Frankenstein.
That's a weird thing to say.
Isn't that a weird thing to say?
It's really weird.
But now that we're getting this new clip that came out, it sounds like DeSantis is fake MAGA. Because
fake conservative too.
Doing his Paul Ryan global warming thing wasn't working, so he did the Johnny Fontaine thing with the MAGA king, our great president Donald Trump, and then got all butch MAGA.
Yeah,
and that's pretty revealing.
It doesn't correlate because he really has been a good governor, and he is very conservative on his legislation. So I don't understand it. Does this guy have like two personalities? I don't get it. They don't go together.
Something doesn't click.
It's confusing.
Something's not clicking. Now, I want to tell you guys before we go that if you've not done this already, order your MyPillow 2.0 with cooling technology. Kathy and I have been sleeping on our MyPillow 2.0 with the cooling technology for over a month, and it is a life changer. And Kathy, you've been talking about how this pillow is great for women who are going through menopause. Because, when women are suffering from menopause,
absolutely,
they have the night sweats and all these body temperature problems. And the cooling technology of the pillow keeps your head and your face from ever getting hot or warm at night. Plus, we're coming into the hot time of the year. It's 89 degrees right now at our house.
Ugh, it's awful.
It is hot.
Yeah. It's really awful.
And
you have the air on, but it's still awful.
Yeah. We have special blinds that are really dark when you put them down to block the heat.
Yeah.
And we have them all down today. Our air conditioner down low. And it's hot. And it'll be hot at night. And that cooling technology in the MyPillow will keep you the perfect temperature as you sleep over the hot summer months. It's buy one, get one free with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com. Now, listen, you could buy anything at mypillow.com and take advantage of the special with our promo code Kane, Kane, not just the things I talk about, including Mike Lindell's My Store. You know, the mystore.com.
Oh, yeah, a lot of great stuff on
where
there.
he sells the coffee and a lot of things. You can take advantage of all the specials there with our promo code Kane as well. But you're not limited at mypillow.com to the things I talk about. I just share with you what I think are the must-haves and the best deals.
If you're doing spring cleaning, it's a really good time to update your sheets and pillows and everything. A lot of people update their home, and he has a lot of great things. And I'm about to buy some mats for the bathroom.
Oh, we need the bathroom mats.
Brian keeps putting the My Pillow towels on the bathroom floor
as mats.
Because you almost slipped the other day and broke your neck. So as mats. So I said, I better buy. I don't know why I didn't think of that before, so I'm going to buy some mats today.
Oh, and there's a special
put on the floor.
There's a special on those with the promo code Kane,
Fantastic.
Kane. So, you know, you can take advantage of all the specials at mypillow.com with our promo code Kane, Kane. And there really are hundreds of items there. And I probably
all good stuff too.
I probably only talk about 15 or 20 of them, but there's a couple hundred items there.
Yeah.
And there's deals on them all with our promo code Kane, Kane. Well, listen, guys, that's it for us today. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.
Discover the stages of love and the stories we've attached to them, and heal yourself through the power of journaling. For the Love of Yourself Journal, 7 relationship stages to growth, forgiving, healing, and renewal. A guided journal from author Tanisha Yates. We all experience relationships of all kinds, and each experience contributes to our growth. In this journal, you will learn to forgive yourself and face your fears, reclaiming your power and unlocking your love. It's time to start your healing process and journal your way to emotional freedom so you can find love to live for. From author Tanisha Yates, For the Love of Yourself Journal, 7 relationship stages to growth, forgiving, healing, and renewal. Order your copy on Amazon right now.